So this beautiful little Mustang pony, I first started seeing perhaps 4 or 5. I think this may perhaps the fourth or fifth treatment of her. When I first saw her, her owner was really, um, well, just confused. So she's trying to show me right here her backing up, and she's being a little bit resistant to wanting to really back up because Leah, unfortunately, this horse just does not have really good control of her hind end. She's actually had a chiropractor tell her that she's a little concerned that she might have spina bifida. For those of you who can't remember spina bifida, like what it was, it's often associated with the protrusion of the meninges through the it's like a vertebral defect. However, this horse first started showing signs of issues with her hind end after roundup and in care of the tip trainer. Again, a tip trainer is someone who trains to pick up Mustangs' feet, be able to halter and lead, and be able to get into a trailer. So she didn't show any signs of this until one day when they think she probably kicked a gate too hard or maybe got herself hung up. So what I'm doing here is I'm just seeing how she moves left and right, and really just trying to give her a good overall feel of, okay, how are you now able to move your body in relation to the rest of your body? I really do love to see how horses back up in a straight line, how they can walk in a straight line, but also how they can curve and create bend through their sides. Now, it's not a normal movement for most Mustangs to bend and really release through their sides, except for getting an itch perhaps, or scratching their neighbor. So it is something that we have to teach them, but it really helps me to understand where there's tension in the muscles, and perhaps where she's holding or where she has an injury, or if there's something else that we need to work on. In particular, I've been really interested in this horse's, you can see poor Leah, she's never had a bath, but she's just a little dusty. Just seeing like what's going on in this horse's spine. For the longest time, I do think that she had a lot of issues in her lumbar and sacral vertebrae. Just trying to check it out. When you see me scratching, I'm doing that not only to reward her and, can continually say thank you for being here with me and doing what I ask, but also as I scratch, I'm kind of like palpating her and seeing what feels good and what's tight and what's not really working for her. Another one of my hard and fast rules that I like to do is, and sorry for being off camera here, a hard and fast rule for me is that I want someone else to hold the horse while I'm treating the horse with the AcuTherapy. That's simply for my safety. I do not want to get hurt doing this. I do this actually as a volunteer, and I do not want to hurt myself, even though I absolutely love it. And so I just want to make sure that someone's always helping me. So I was doing more of a root treatment there on her legs, just starting to say, hey, let's start movement. This is, again, my fourth or fifth treatment with her, so I know a little bit more about how Leah ticks. I then wanted to move up to her pole and really start to loosen any tension or stress that she's holding in her pole and along her cervical spine and into her neck and shoulders. This is really moving into kind of like the shoulder region of a human. So really trying to loosen up what I feel to be one of the integral points of connection on the horse. Now, there's a lot of different ways to look at horses' anatomy and how things are structured. The point I was just doing is kind of what I feel is more of a gallbladder 21 point. Again, that is probably not accurate compared to several books, but many books put points at many different points. This point here is bladder 13-ish, with a very good release and a little bit of surprise from my camera person. But again, horses release by shaking out their nervous system. It helps to reset their nervous system by licking and chewing and by yawning. Now here I'm doing more of like an inner bladder channel. Again, with horses, some of the points show the bladder channel farther from the spine. Some show them on the line similar to what I'm doing. I really move along what I call live points, what Shudo Denmei Sensei's main practitioner in the West, Stephen Brown, calls active points. Really, that's what I'm going for. And here I'm going to the outside of the vertebrae and helping to release tendons that are really tight, really starting at the outside of the onion. Again, I think that this horse's issues are more along its lumbar or sacral vertebrae, which are more at the point of the hip, and I'll show you where I'm treating that in just a moment. But before I get to the main part of the treatment, I'm always trying to go to the outer layers of the onion, trying to do root treatments, really loosen up the body, loosen up the meridians, and help the horse to relax from the outside before going straight to the root of the problem, because that can be a little abrupt. I have the owner here move her horse around a little bit, just to help her relax. A lot of times horses need to move in order to relax and let out the energy that they've been storing. So it's a good idea to give them breaks in between. And then I just continue on down the bladder channel, going towards that vertebrae that I really want to go towards, which is more towards the sacral. So here I'm working more on the right, the left side of the horse. And really using my Teishin, again, also called a Manaka hammer technique. Now, if you're unsure which technique I'm doing, is it dispersing or is it tonifying, it's generally easy to understand this technique by just going by the rhythm. If it's a faster technique, it's a little bit more dispersing. If it's a slower technique, it's a bit more tonifying. So here I'm really tonifying more. And the horse is checking me out. She's relaxing more. You can see that she's starting to get more movement with her nose and lips. And she's really starting to get into it. And I'm rewarding her that relaxation I saw in her. I'm rewarding it with a lot of pets, which she's thoroughly enjoying, as you can see her move her head out and just say, oh yeah, keep on doing the scratching. And so again, this is another part which I've mentioned in other videos where I really like to create a connection with the horse. She's like, why did you stop? But I really like to create a connection with the horse and realize that, they can tell me when it's too much. I'm going to listen to them. And even more important with mustangs, right, is that if you don't listen to them, it's really easy to get hurt. Now, obviously, if you're treating a human, sometimes you can ignore what that human is saying or trying to tell you and not get hurt. But I think it's very important to continually listen to your patient. So here is using more of a Tanioka style technique to release really from the bladder all the way through the gallbladder of the channel. And then going back up to the opposite side of the horse, something that I'm still playing with and haven't found out which is the best way to approach is whether you should release from this, oh, what a great deep breath that was, is really trying to figure out, should I release the excess from the top of both sides of the horse, or if I could follow one line going down straight. And it's something that I'm still playing with. I assume that it's better probably to release both of the upper jowl first and then the middle and then the lower. But for speed's sake, of late I've been going through one side of the horse and then through the other. Horses' brains are a little bit different than humans in that they're not as connected. So the right eye is really dominantly taking over the right side of the body, whereas the left eye is really taking care of the left side of the body, and they don't communicate as much as perhaps our eyes might. Now with each point that I treat, I'm always liking the release and always looking for the release that the horse does. So you could see I was working on the horse and she had put her head down and I immediately stopped. That is a bit of a gentle horsemanship approach, but showing her that everything that I'm doing is only for her to relax. And as soon as she relaxes, no matter if it's when the point has released or not, that I will stop what I'm doing. And that actually lends itself to the treatment, because if she relaxes her body down, again, another great release, similar area to the other side. But if she relaxes her head down, releases the top of her neck, opens her jaw, licks and chews, does any type of shaking, but it's going to release her whole nervous system. Like really ropey in there.
Yeah.
That is what's stringing her whole back, because then it's like when you get up to here, this is where the spine is start to be pulled out of alignment.
Okay.
And her hips are off balance.
Okay.
But that's...
This one plays hard.
Yeah.
Her and the gelding, who's like 3 times her size, you'll see him. He's big. But they play hard together.
So the whole point of me having the owner right now touch her horse where I was feeling tension was so that the owner could feel what I was feeling, confirm what I was feeling, and then go back afterwards and be able to feel the changes. I feel this is important in treating children, especially to have their parents feel those changes, but also, of course, with any type of animal, any person that's being a caretaker for another being.
But only my mom can do it right, because she has long nails.
What a good girl. Can you show me really quick that tail stretch that you're doing for me?
Can I have someone hold her head? You don't have to hold her tight. But
Yeah, just in case.
so.
Just in case. Hi, Amanda.
Okay. So, the chiropractor we had the first time, before we moved here, told us you grab the tail after the bone and you pull so that the spine stretches out. And she says that they'll lean into it if they like it, which Daisy, the big paint who has the really long back, loves it. And she will lean all the way forward, but this one does not like it.
Yeah, that one probably is going to hurt her, actually.
Okay.
Because of where her hips are at, it's going to make her hips feel disjointed.
Okay.
Can you show me when you're scratching under her belly how you're doing that, Bill?
So this one, and then the spine will go up. Let's see. I don't have the right ones.
Oh, yeah.
The neck goes out straight.
You can use your keys for that, too.
Yeah, and I have a hoof pick I use for it that's kind of a softer point. But my mom has long nails and she can always get it just the right spot where the back goes up like instantly, and then she goes out straight.
Let me try that with her real quick, 'cause I think that might be a good fit for her.
And she loves it at home. She does really well with it. I have funny pictures of my mom doing it, and you can see every tooth in her mouth. She likes that one a lot, though.
Oh, well, that helped me a little bit too, hon, because now I figured out where you're tight too. So this bottom line under her stomach, as your mom has so aptly found out, is really taut, because the top line on her stomach is so deficient.
Oh.
Well, like meaning lack of energy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. So I think this is an amazing thing for you to do for her.
When they're out, so they get turned out in our front area. I'll point it out to you today. When they come up to the house, we always go out front and we do that with her. And she's, yeah, neck straight out, head straight out, tooths on display. Lacey's waiting for her turn.
That's a good one. What a good girl you are. A dirty girl,
Yeah.
but a good girl. Yeah. She's like, why'd you stop?
She's like, I didn't say it was time to stop yet.
So I continue to treat this horse's lumbar and sacral. Really, where I see issues in this horse today was on the right lumbar sacral, kind of between a bladder 23 and a bladder 25 area. Again, it depends on the book that you look in for the actual point location, but I would say somewhere in between that area. And she just has, her spine is actually out of alignment there, so I've recommended that she get a second adjustment from the chiropractor, um, although they can be a little bit crazy for the horses. And the reason why I just absolutely love this horse, Leah, is she is extremely vocal about what she likes and what's helping her. And she really helps guide you through the treatment. And so as long as you're able to pick up on those cues, you can see here she lowers her head. I mean, that's a huge sign that it felt really good. And she's moving, not to move away from it, but really because she's trying to get something out. I tonified a point in her system. Sorry for the block shot there, but I tonified a point in her system. And the first initial reaction of any horse is that they need to move after that in order to really process what just happened in their body. So here, just having her back up again, you can see a little bit of the dysfunction in her back leg, still the hesitancy of that right leg especially to go back. But very, very vast improved especially since the first time I saw this horse. And so now I'm going to start working down her legs, essentially the inner yang and yin, the outer yang and yin, of the lower legs. Just help start doing some distal work and help the meridian flows, and also really the nervous system function from the spine to the legs. Here she is again saying, "Oh, that feels kind of nice. Thank you for doing that." Just really talking and telling to me what she likes and what she doesn't like. And so I gave her a break because I wanted to acknowledge that fact.
She's like, I want to go play with Lacey. She said, could you let me in the field now, please?
So as I said before, I don't often focus on specific acupuncture points for point protocol. I work more on what would be called a live or an active point. I also do really, really love the muscle meridians and think they're an amazing tool that are often swept to the wayside. And so here I'm using the spleen muscle meridian or the spleen sinew channel to help fortify the entire spleen muscle pathway that is going in underneath the sacral and lumbar vertebrae, in which this horse is having weakness and not able to hold up. Again, I really do think that this horse threw her back out, is my initial thought, and so far through treatment she's really held true to that. It could be a neurological disorder. However, usually with neurological disorders, you don't see this kind of vast improvement. So I'm just ending the treatment here, giving her a little bit of a neck massage, helping her to relax areas and just making sure I haven't missed anything. Just really helping her to relax a little bit. You can see there's still a little bit of tension there. She's leaning into it. And that's just double checking my work and going through and just making sure that her entire neck and spine is really doing well. So it's more of a deep tissue palpation. In humans, I tend to be a little bit gentler, but horses have more muscle and, well, they can take a little bit more and it usually feels nice for them. So this is just a double check after. You can still see on the right hind that she's still not moving it as well as she could, but she's definitely getting a lot more extension with both hind legs. She has more intentional movement with both hind legs. She's actually able to pick up her butt more. Another interesting thing about this horse is since the first time I saw her until now, she's actually developed a butt. She's developed her hindquarters. And that's because she was really able to start building and putting strength there. And so my last part of my treatment for her was to go to the exact point where I think she probably threw her back out and to do some tonifying moxa there. Now with horses, moxa is a lot easier. You can tell my cones aren't perfect. They're actually quite large, much larger than I would ever do on a human. However, this horse has her fur coat in. It is very, very thick. In order to penetrate through that, you have to have a slightly larger cone. And if this was at all hurting her or burning her, I guarantee you she would not let me stand next to her and do it. And most of the horses and animals I've found that I've done it on actually really do enjoy it. Of course, you have to be careful about fire and all of that with a fur coat.
I know, sweetie.
So here again, I'm just doing a final movement test, making sure I didn't miss anything. I only get to treat this horse once a month, so I really like to be thorough. And just really watching how she's able to engage her hind end, how she's able to move her hind end, cross over her hind end, and then give any advice that I can to the owner to help encourage this horse's healing going forward. So some of the things I've given her in the past was to help having her do crossovers and encourage her hind end, as I'm doing right here. She doesn't, I don't think I'm doing this the way this horse understands. So this is my abilities, not the horse's abilities to understand. I'm just not giving the same cues that her owner gives, but you can see she's doing some beautiful crossovers with her right foot, still moving her front end, really engaging her front end. Just incredible movement compared to what she used to be able to do. Before, she wasn't able to cross her hind end over at all. It just looked like a disaster every time she tried to move her hind end, like she didn't know how to move it. To the point where a vet actually told this owner that she's probably going to have to put this horse down. So right now, she's still definitely not sound to ride, but doing amazing, enjoying life, able to have fun in the pasture, just doing really, really, really well.
With her that works best. Because if she feels like she's being too pressured, she won't do it. Okay. She shuts down a little bit. Okay. Then putting yourself in a box. But she goes fast in the front, which is the problem I've had with her.
Yeah, what I want her to do is while she's doing this, instead of just moving her front legs to the side, I want her to have forward motion with her front legs.
Okay.
And then the side step with her back. So she's kind of like, almost like doing this.
Okay. Yeah.
And that the reason for that is because, as your mom is finding out, the center line is so tight on her right.
Yeah.
And so if you try to do that too, if you try to like take a step forward, you have to really engage your core muscles.
Right.
And that I think is going to really help her. It's going to help her to pick this up.
Okay.
And strengthen this so it's not quite so tight, and that is just the opposite of what we're trying to work with here.
Right.
Let's just see her move just so I can see the difference. But I think that she's doing really great, man. I'm so happy with her improvement.
Yeah.
So what did you think about this treatment? Would you have added anything? Did you think it should be in a different order? What are your comments? What are your thoughts? I would love to hear them. Go ahead and comment below. I'm going to also include Woe's MPO address down below if you'd like to donate to them. They're an amazing organization. Again, everything I do for them is volunteer-based. I only get paid for my gas really going out there, and everything else I donate back to the organization. They are doing incredible things for these Mustangs. So if you're ever interested in getting a Mustang, definitely check them out, and or donate to them would be great. And if you are interested, hold on just a second. If you are interested in learning about Japanese acupuncture, Teishin, contact needling, moxa, all that good stuff, getting fundamental skills to match with your amazing TCM theory, then I would love to help. So go ahead and Click on the link in the description box to set up an interview. I would love to hear from you and learn about your goals and where you'd like to take your practice. So until I see you next time, happy practicing.